Why is it that almost all human beings, apart from their talents and capacities, are mediocre? Including Beethoven, Mozart, and Bach, and all the rest of it.
There will always be, and that's part of the fun, I guess, about this list, is you put it out there and you say, this is it, these are the 100 greatest artists of all time. And, you know, fans, a Rush fan will call or write an email, or a Kiss fan will, and unfortunately they did not make the list when we break it.
Because, John,
and they will be very
I will stalk you if
we'll
Devo is not on.
Hundreds of letters about it.
Is Devo on the list?
Hello, welcome to this video. This video is going to be called 10 artists that the critics love, which are actually mediocre. I'm going to get angry on this one. I know it already. Even when I say it, I can feel the phlegm rising. So what have I done here? I've gone back to the Rolling Stone list of greatest artists. I'm obsessed by it. I go back and I think, yeah, they put this artist here. Here they are at number 12 in the, suppose, this of all the artists in the world, all of them, all of jazz artists, Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, you know, all those artists, all the great rock bands like, you know, Deep Purple and Black Sabbath and all these bands, you know, all this incredible stuff that we all love, all the stuff that's behind here, behind me. But better than all that is some clunky rubbish pile of rubbish, which they have decided should be at number 12 or number 15. And I'm thinking, this is supposed to be the 12th greatest artist. And so they say this artist that's at number 12 has only got 11 that are greater than this artist. I think it's a nonsense. I think it's a bloody nonsense, and it's a liberty that these bloody snotty critics have taken for the last 50 years of the history of rock and roll. And now it's dying and no one cares. I am not going to have the ship of rock go down with people thinking the likes of Neil Young and Van Morrison are the best that we had to offer, because they weren't. And I'm going to prove it now on this bloody video here. So what I'm going to do is I'm not just going to run them down like I normally do. I've got more of a plan than that, believe it or not. What I'm going to do is I am going to start from 10 to 1. So these are the 10, I just said that, didn't I? The 10 artists the critics love that are mediocre. Right, I'm going to start with number 10. I am going to say why they're mediocre, and I'm going to prove it by putting another artist that could go in their slot. Turf them out and put another artist in. And then I want you to say, out of the artists that I put in, which one's the better out of those two. Now, sometimes they're related to the artist. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. You'll get it. The first one they're not. The second one they are, but not really. The third one they're like the polar opposite. The fourth one they're not. The sixth one they are. The second one they are sort of. There's a logic to it. I just haven't just picked people willy-nilly. Willy-nilly's not my style. I am not a purveyor of either willy or nilly. Nobody can nobody. Oh, I'm getting angry. I can't get my words out. Nobody can accuse me of dallying with the willy or the nilly. At number 10 on my list of bloody mediocre artists that should not be anywhere near the top 100 greatest artists according to Rolling Stone is Patti Smith. Now, I've had a go at her before, right? Do I need to have a go at her? You know, what's she got going for her, really, to be honest? Can she sing? No. Does she look nice? No. Could she write a decent song? Well, if you want some droning crap about horses, then she's the one for you, isn't she? she's rubbish. You know, I mean, she's had some hit records. I can't remember them. They're like sort of FM rock friendly. She's supposed to be this great purveyor of punk. I can't see how she's punk at all. Right, so I don't like Patti Smith. I've joked in the past that she's got a moustache, and she hasn't really got a moustache. That was a joke. That was silly, and I'm being serious on this video. Right? She's just boring and drony. She's studenty, middle classy. She hangs out with that sort of New York elite. You know, she's best friends with Robert Mapplethorpe. And what does he do with his time when he was alive? What did he do? Photograph people with things inserted in certain places that you shouldn't insert things. Break your mama's back. You know, it's like a bullwhip is for cracking. It's for wrangling bulls. That's what a bullwhip is for, not for what Robert Mapplethorpe. Now, I know I'm criticising Patti Smith by criticising Robert Mapplethorpe, but I don't want to be thinking about that type of thug. They're involved with all sorts, these are. They're always a bit dodgy. That's why the critics like them. They think it's punk. They think they're rock and roll. She's not rock and roll, Patti Smith. And if you see her now, she looks bloody awful. She looks like an old sort. She got the bloody two side plaits going down. Joni Mitchell's gone the same way. I love Joni Mitchell, but now, you know, when ladies get older, they go for the two side plaits, and they look sort of a little bit Native American. Oh, I can't stick it. What are you doing? Just get your hair cut short and get a blue rinse like a normal old lady. Nobody cares what you look like. Why are you trying to dress like that for? You know, you're trying to pretend you're some old earth mother. Bloody hell, they should stick them in the earth. Anyway, that's by the by. So who would I zip? So I'm going to take Patti Smith out. She's at number 47. She's in the top 50. All of these are in the top 50, believe it or not. So I'll take Patti Smith out. We can drop her down. You can have her down at 307 somewhere if you want her on the list. She's there somewhere, but not here. And who do we put in their place? Who's better than Patti Smith? Kate Bush. Who's better than Patti Smith? Kate Bush. Is Kate Bush better than Patti Smith? Kate Bush? Right? He's an ugly bird in the hand, worth two in the bush. Right, you're all sat there. You know Kate Bush is better than Patti Smith in every way, shape and form. Every way. Better songwriter. She looks nicer. She's a better performer. She's done more better albums. Kate Bush is better. So think about it. The point I'm making here, I might be being a bit silly and I might be being facetious. That's the word I'm being. Maybe I am being a bit facetious. But why is Patti Smith at number 47 and Kate Bush isn't? How can they say that Patti Smith is greater than Kate Bush? Now, why have you picked Kate Bush? Because she's a female singer-songwriter. She emerged in the 1970s, albeit a little bit later than Patti Smith. Yes, and she wasn't, you know, one of the people who put the, groundwork in for punk. But nobody should have put the groundwork in for punk. Punk was a bad idea. We know it was a bad idea. It's okay. We can force ourselves to listen to a few Clash albums and say they're okay. Don't worry. Oh, I have put Clash on the list. I've got certain... These groups I don't hate because they're crap. They are crap, you know. But Nickelback's crap. There's loads of people that are crap. Leo Sayer's crap. You know, we've gone through a whole bunch of crap out there. It's the fact that the critics love them. And then idiots who are conformists, who haven't got a set of their own ears, they go, oh, I really like Patti Smith. I bought their albums. You only bought her albums. Maybe you got into her at the time. Why? Why did you get her into it at the time? Look, Kate Bush is better. Everyone knows it. Am I right? Stick it in the comments now. Keep up with me. Comment and say Kate is better. If not, say Patti's better than Kate. Write in the comments down. See what everyone says to you. See how you get treated by my bloody audience. Right. Number 9, of course, he comes in at number 42 in the chart. So he's the 42th greatest artist of all time. Is my bloody nemesis, Van Morrison. Right, now, do I have to go into why I dislike... I've said enough why I don't like Van Morrison, haven't I? I'm not going to say anything here. It should be self-explanatory, right? It should be I've done everything I possibly can to explain why Van Morrison is so bad. I actually did a pastiche of Van Morrison. It sounded like this. And it's actually better than Van Morrison. And you know it's better than Van Morrison. Okay? So let's get rid of Van Morrison at number 42. And in their place, put the greatest Van of all time. Not Vincent van Gogh. No, not him, because he's a painter. He's not a musician. You're not going to put him on the best musician. I mean, he might have been a musician on Van. He might have done a little bit on the side now. And not Van Helsing, the 1950s film star. We're not going to put Van Helsing on. Van Johnson on. We're not. Should I rewind and do that bit again? That joke would have been good if I got it right. We're not going to put Van Johnson on, the 1950s film star. We're not going to put him on either because he's not a musician. We're not going to put on Van Helsing, the nemesis doctor that tries to get Dracula and put him back in his coffin. Van Helsing. There's loads of Vans we're not going to put on, and Van Morrison is in that bracket. No, you know the Van we should have here. It's Van Halen. I'm right. Who's better? Who is actually better? Who rescued rock? Who redefined rock guitar? Who took away the mantle of the greatest rock guitar hero off Jimi Hendrix? That's bloody hard to do, right? Who sold 1 million records that please the bloody musos and also please the general public? And how do they do it? By writing great party songs that are musically brilliant. And the critics don't get party songs. They think Van Halen, it's all spandex and just talking about getting girls, isn't it? Just because you can't get girls. That's why you're saying that, mate. The only way you can get a girl is by standing there being pretentious, you know, sipping on your little bit of bloody whatever posh people drink. What do they drink, posh people? I don't know. Champagne and caviar. I don't know. I'm not posh enough to ask. I don't know, do I? And there you are. Going to Van Morrison. He's very good. The Astral Week's absolute masterpiece. What about Van Halen? Oh, I don't know about them. Well, I think they're really good. And he does some good guitar solos. I think that old Daly Roth's a good performer, and some of his stuff's quite funny when he's going on. Oh, no, I can't be talking to you anymore because you like Van Halen, and they're common because they write songs about girls. Well, you can't get a girl. I can. There are girls that are duped by thinking that I'm a sensitive intellectual type, and when I go on waxing lyrical about how great Velvet Underground are they on the list? Oh, I'm giving it all away here. You're giving it all away. Right, Van Halen are better than Van Morrison, right? If you don't like Van Halen and you like Van Morrison, it's because you are too serious and you are a fool. That's basically the truth, right? Anybody that thinks Moondance, which is his best song, right, is anywhere near Hot for Teacher, then you're off your head. Half a teacher starts with the sound of a Ferrari backfiring, and then it goes into this insane double bass drumming with this insane tapping going all the top, and then it all kicks in. It's got the best riff, and then the next thing, David Lee Roth, who's about bloody 30, you know, and has got more testosterone than 10 schoolboys, is back in school eyeing up the bloody teacher. You know, and saying, taunting her with his chat about pencils. I got my pencil. Give me something to write on. What's that mean, Dave? Is that rude? What's that mean? I know what your pencil might be. Give me something to write on. Bloody hell, he's the master of metaphors on Davies. And they say that about Van Morrison, the metaphor, this illusions of spirituality. No, he's never come up with as good a metaphor as, I got my pencil, give me something to write on. There's nothing as good as that. If Van had stuck one of those in instead of a growl, a couple of those on Astral Weeks, it would just elevated it straight up, wouldn't it? You know? Where was Van with a one break coming up? You know, where was that? I'd have David Lee Roth over bloody... Oh, God, who's going to compare?
Give me a bottle of anything and a glazed donut. To go.
So that's who we've got at number 9. Van Morrison. We're going to whip them out and replace them with Van Halen. At number 8, we've got Neil Young. I don't get Neil Young, right? People like him. I think with Van Morrison and Patti Smith, they just pretend to like him, you know. And also, Van's made some good albums in the late. I have to say this. There are some quite nice, funky albums in this. I mean, I've gone so deep into Van. Get off Van. Why is he your nemesis for? The fact that he does good stuff proves that he could. I think he's having us all on. Neil Young, however, what do we think of him? Well, I really like Crosby, Stills and Nash. Neil Young joins, and he doesn't spoil it, I suppose, which is one thing. They're still quite good. But then he goes off and has his solo career. And I just think, if I put Harvest on, it's a good album and the songwriting is strong. I don't want to pick on Neil Young all the way. But for me, he's an example. He's okay, right? Is he a better songwriter than, say, James Taylor, for example? No. He's all right. So why has he got this? I'll tell you why. Because he stands there on stage and he growls and he can't play guitar and he does guitar solos, which a certain element can turn around, probably guitarists who aren't very good, and go, I'm not really into all this fast playing. It just seems to be a hollow display of virtuosity. I mean, where's the music? There's no music there. I appreciate stuff with more space and taste. And then sometimes it's good just for someone to play in a visceral way, just express themselves. And I feel Neil Young does that on the guitar. So does everybody else that's crap, mate. That's what they do, right? I can listen to crap guitarists till the Cars come home. And no, they're another band that the critics like. The Cars, I don't get them. The Cars, they can write a song. I don't know why everyone goes on about them. I've explored them. I'm wondering what it is about an artist that everyone likes that I don't like. I'd love to know what because Neil Young is that. I have the intellect to understand Neil Young is okay, right? But to me, he's rubbish. Anybody who does a song like Rockin' in the Free World, if Kiss did that or Motley Crue, we would go, oh, that's a crap Kiss song, isn't it? And they've gone for the, well, rockin' in the free world, rockin' in the free world. I mean, what's all that? They're probably, secret Trump supporters. What they talking about rockin'. But Neil Young doesn't have that. I mean, that's got a lot to do with it, isn't it? A lot of these ones are on the left, aren't they? They're the lefty end of the market, aren't they? And people like the lefty end of the market. And they can come out and go, well, I don't like Spotify. I'm taking all my stuff off Spotify. I'll put it back on later because I'm a millionaire and I made so much money out of singing a old bloody load of crap. So we don't want Neil Young, right? He is at number 34. Now, the band I'm putting in should have been in the top 5 as far as I'm concerned. Let's just scrap Neil Young and in his place put Yes.
Let's say another new one now.
let's just scrap Neil Young and in his place put Yes. I wasn't just going yes, and then you go yes, what? I feel sorry for Yes. They are one of the greatest bands of all bloody time. They are. They're amazing. Right? And for them not to get anywhere near the top 50 on this list just shows what a bunch of bastards they are at the Rolling Stone magazine. Can you imagine walking in there? You know, I would love to walk in there. They're all on their desks walking. Yes, I really did get you. They're all like that, aren't they? Yeah, I put Neil Young at number 34. Oh yeah, you have to put Neil Young. I mean, the way he plays his guitar is it's so visceral, isn't it? And then I'd come walking in and go, "Oi, Rolling Stone, no!" And I would kick his desk over and say, "Where is Yes?" And they'd have to grudgingly admit that they're good. Well, we know Yes are one of the best in the progressive rock fans. But in the end, progressive rock genre was a dead end, really, wasn't it? A lot of middle-class posh people trying to make music. It was far too intellectual and clever. And this is one thing I can't have, is people thinking that the musicians are clever. They need to think critics are clever. That's why we always pick artists that aren't that good and aren't that intellectual and talk in a way which makes them mean they're probably mentally subnormal, but we will elevate that up to being absolutely great. This is what they do. And I'd say, no, mate, you aren't fit to even judge Yes. Not even fit. Right? When you can play 25 keyboards at the same time whilst wearing a gold cape and eating a curry, then you could say something, right? If you can become one of the greatest frontmen of all time, even though you're only 5'2" and you sing like a girl, then you can say something, right? When you could claim to be a guitar hero whilst being the grumpiest man and the most frightening looking man now that has ever existed, like some horrible evil troll that lives under a bridge, then you could say something. Do you want me to carry on? Yes, they should be on the bloody list. Really angry here. Number 7 at 31. This is going to get worse. Right, Johnny Cash, the king of country. What the hell's he the king of country for? What can Johnny Cash do that's so good? Right, what can he do? And I feel that here, the guitar has to come out. So I've got the guitar now and I'm going to do a song in the style of Johnny Cash. Now, what are the elements of Johnny Cash? Well, the same old chords played in that sort of Carter family fashion. I've got no problem with that. They all do that. But why he should go to such a high state? Because he does it. And then I'm going to mumble away in a deep, tuneless voice. And the key is that I'm going to say that I do something like that. I'm not going to walk the line. I'm probably going to hold the line. I don't want to hold the line. What should I be holding? Johnny Cash, what would he be holding? Maybe he's holding a lime. Maybe he's making a drink and he's got a lime in his hand and he's holding a lime. There we go. I've got my idea for the song. This thirst that I've got is making me so thirsty. This hasn't started off well. Sorry. Maybe it's better than I think. I'm thirsty, I need a drink. Not something that's yellow, brown or pink. I need a drink that'll fix my thirst. I'm so thirsty, I think I'm burst. But I need a lime, I hold the lime. I add some lime almost every time. We're there now, we've got it. I drink up my drink when I'm thirsty. I swallow it down and have some tasty juice. I like to drink my drink on a Thursday. On a Friday, I pack up my little papoose. I hold the line. Well, every time I don't drink brine. because it makes you go mad if you do that. Apparently, you can't drink seawater. It's one of the things you should never drink is seawater. I would never suggest you should do it. I hold the line, almost every time. I hold the line, almost every time. And then we get a round of applause from a bunch of bloody felons and murderers, don't we? So I quite like Johnny Cash, you know, and you're going to say, yeah, but that album we did with Trent Reznor, where you know the one they did that Rick Rubin produced. I can't even remember who did it. It was Rick Rubin or Trent Reznor. It was Rick Rubin, wasn't it? He came along, poked his bloody beardy face in, got involved with Johnny Cash. I can rescue your career because I'm like a spiritual guru, you know, and all that bit of bloody Rick Rubin myth. What a load of bloody rubbish. Anyone can grow a beard and sit there being wise. You know, beards don't make you wise. They don't make you wise. It's the biggest con in the world. You know, I mean, think of the people who've got beards that aren't wise. ZZ Top, they're not bloody Einstein, are they? And they got massive beards, load of bloody rubbish. Anyway, we scrap Johnny Cash. We get rid of him. Why? You haven't said, because you've never had a go at Johnny Cash before. He's all right. He's good, but he's not bloody Willie Nelson, is he? He's not Willie Nelson's better than Johnny Cash, isn't he? Right? Kenny Rogers is the one I like. His songs are way better. You know, he's the guy he tells brilliant stories about being the coward of the county. Johnny Cash would never say he was a coward of the county. He walks around wearing black thinking he's hard. Kenny Rogers doesn't have to prove he's hard, does he? Nah, he just walks around with that great beard. His beard's not there for wisdom purposes. This is there for the same purposes as Noel Edmonds, and that's to attract the ladies, and he does. Who's he attract? Bloody Dolly Parton. Islands in the Stream, that's what they are. And Dolly Parton, I mean, Dolly's not well at the moment. I love Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is the queen of country and the king of country. I bet she didn't get up as high as Johnny Cash. Scrap her. We could have had Dolly Parton here, but instead I have got Queen. Queen are on the bloody list. Come on, I'm not a huge Queen fan. Everybody in the world loves Queen. Queen's like the biggest rock band of all time. People who don't like rock music like Queen. Kids like Queen. Moms like Queen. The Queen of England probably liked Queen. And they're liked by Queens. They're a bloody gay band. You would have thought the critics were going, we like Queen. I mean, they have really been able to use a sort of gay culture and put it into a realm where you don't normally see it, which is sort of tight trousers rock. And I think for that, it's quite interesting. You won't do it. You know why? You won't do it because they're so likes. You could never do it. You couldn't do it, could you, critics? So we could put Dolly Parton in. We can put Queen in here. Either one will do. And are they not better? Can you see my point? You see it? Queen's better than Johnny Cash. Yes, he's better than Neil Young. Van Halen is better than Van Morrison. And who is better than bloody Nirvana, who I've got at number 6? Nirvana come in at number 30. The 30th greatest artist or band in the history. Now, let's have a look at this. Right, one album the critics love, Bleach, that nobody even talk about if they hadn't done the second album. That's just people being pretentious. Then you got the second album, which really is a good album, but really exists there because of one song. And when you go through it, it's not a classic album, even though it sold 30 million copies, right? And it changed the culture, and I don't know why that is. It's a great album. Guns N' Roses did a similar album. Their first album is a great album. They're not at that point. So why is Nirvana? And then they did Un Utero, you know, which I really like. I think it's a great album. But there's only 3 albums there. I mean, come on. There's so many bands out there. And off 3 albums, why not Soundgarden? Why have you got Nirvana here? It's so lazy. It's lazy. You won't put Queen on because they're popular, but you'll put Nirvana on. And I'll tell you why. Because he was moody and he killed himself. Right? Dave Grohl, he's not moody. Is he? I won't say the second bit to this because I'll probably get in trouble. He's not moody, is he, old Dave Grohl? He pretends to be funny. I don't think he's funny. I think he's like a Hitler autocrat of that band running them all. They have to do exactly what he says. You know, and he just larks around thinking he's funny. And so do the Foo Fighters come in at number 30? They've done way more albums, all rubbish. But Nirvana, right, think about it. Think what I'm saying here. I've put a band on that's good. They're at 30. Nirvana's good band. I don't think they deserve to be at 30 because the band that should be there is Metallica. Right? In the end, in the long term, Nevermind's a great album. It's from 1991. But does it only do what Metallica does? And Metallica does it better. Metallica draw their sound in. Metallica take that thrash metal and present it to a mainstream audience. Don't they do everything that Nirvana did, but instead of thrash metal, they did it with sort of punk, alternative rock, American punk. Didn't Metallica do this? And weren't they true to their fans in a way? And didn't they launch 1,000 bands? And how many people are listening to the Black Album now? Hasn't it won out over time? Hasn't Metallica won out over time? I think they have. Why aren't they on the list? Why are they lower than Nirvana? They've done so much more for music. Right, let's move on. At number 5, I've got your favourite, my favourite, the Posse Clash. The Posse Clash.
I don't like music at all. You know, music isn't the point.
Well, you once said that you're not musicians.
Yeah.
You mean that?
Yeah, well, I can play all 6 strings or none, and I play 4.
But how is it possible to be considered one of the world's greatest rock bands when you're not rock musicians?
Because music, that's a good point. I agree with him, by the way. It's a good point because music is not the point.
Right, there's a whole bunch of great punk bands in the UK punk scene. Right, there's a whole bunch of the Sex Pistols, The Damned, Stranglers, Susie and the Banshees, Sham 69. If the kids are united, they will never be divided. That's a song, I could listen to that all day long. That's a proper punk song. It does everything that punk needs to do. Clash aren't like that, are they? No, they're always fannying about, pretending that they're bloody revolutionaries, dressed in their berets and their green, walking on about, you know, bloody Spanish bombs dropping and all that type of bit. They're all a little bit like that. Now, the Clash are okay. The Clash are okay. I don't think that London Calling is their best album. I think their first album, the first or the second album are their best albums. I think Sandinista's a better album. It's a more interesting album to my ears than London Calling. It's London Calling's elevation, as the critics could never get behind the Sex Pistols. Why? Because they didn't quite understand this Malcolm McLaren thing, that they were like a rip-off, right? They were a rip-off in that they fooled you into thinking they were a rip-off. They weren't a rip-off. They were a great band, but they were working class, and they represented working class ways, proper working class ways. That's why the Sex Pistols are important. They took what the Ramones did, they took what Patti Smith did, Iggy Pop and the Stooges, they took it out of the colleges and they presented it to working class people, and then it had a power. And then the Clash hung around them and they came in and tried to do it. And then the critics liked them because in Joe Strummer they recognised their own. That's the truth about the Clash. And they're okay, right? But if you see them as emerging in 1976, 77, and then London Calling is 79, 1980. If we look at that period, there's another band that come out a couple of years later, but around at that time they're gigging, but they aren't getting picked up like the Clash because they're doing something that the people love. That the people love. And that band is Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden, and like it's like one of the. But this is the point. These bands, Queen, Iron Maiden, Metallica, these are liked by the people. The people love these bands, and although the critics ignored them or tried to put them down or whatever they tried to do, grudgingly, because the people just stuck by them, they've won out, and that is what we've got here. Right, Iron Maiden launched a whole wave of musicians, and I'm part of that wave. All right, and there's such incredible music there. I'm getting serious here now as we go up the list because it gets more involved, right? I am not saying the Clash are bad. What I'm saying is the Clash are liked by the critics, right? But Iron Maiden is a way better band. in every shape and form, but they don't have the intellectual clout. They're not snobby and snotty like the Clash. Can you not see it? Can you not see it? The new wave of British heavy metal as a movement was a true punk movement. It was a load of boys that saw no future. There was no jobs there for them. And they took rock music and embedded it with a whole bunch of things where they were able to state their maleness. I know that's because that's what it was. And it was all about singing about Vikings or singing about bloody breaking the law or singing about, Satan. It was all about dressing in a certain way, having a certain dress code. I mean, these rock bands, if there was a new wave of British heavy metal band, and if one of them even had short hair, they were in bloody big trouble, I tell you. That Paul Di'Anno caught a little bit of that, So new wave of British heavy metal was a very strong statement for my age group, and it's so bloody important. Everyone knows. I mean, Iron Maiden, I don't know. To me, Iron Maiden are greater than the Clash. Right, so let's move on to number 4. At number 4, we've got the Ramones.
Rock and roll was meant for punks, and it started
I guess Elvis Presley
in the mid-50s.
Yeah, but punk is an answer to all the glitter and the stuff that costs a lot of money.
No, punk is just a rebellious rock for all kids all over.
I mean, real rock and roll was punk.
Not a bunch of old men playing music for your mothers and fathers. And that's what you have now. It's what they call rock.
For instance?
Sticks.
Yeah, Sticks, Kansas, Foreigner, stuff like that.
I've criticised them so much. What's good about the Ramones? It's a bunch of guys. They go into a room, they plug some guitars in, and they just channel this sort of visceral energy. It's just pure rock and roll. They're not the Sex Pistols. There's not a great statement there. It's a return to the ideals of early rock and roll. It's leather jackets. It's like riding around on motorcycles. It's singing simple songs about, just getting out there and having some fun. It's fun music done brilliantly. They've got great hooks. This is what everyone would say about the Ramones, right? For me, when I put a Ramones album on, I find it quite lacking energy. I don't think they've got the skill to pull off what Sham 69 do with "If the kids are united, they will never be divided." I was listening to that the other day. I was loving every minute of it. And that's what I expect from the Ramones, but I don't get it from the Ramones. They're very samey, same stuff over and over again. And there is just a whiff of that sort of New York, sophisticated, suburban type of thing. I don't know. I don't think I don't think the Americans have working class people like we've got in the UK. They've got them, but working class people really, they just want to listen to Ted Nugent or something like that. Our working class people are more, they're just funnier.
Stockport police are obese. They can't even do their job, keep their peace. Criminals getting away with murder, coming through charges never heard of. Going to work, don't get paid, living the dog, drugs all the way.
Ooh, I might get a nice car. Hope this rap don't go too far.
Oh! Anyway, I would scrap, this is so ridiculous, take the Ramones off at number 26 and replace them with Black Sabbath. Come on. Perhaps the most influential band in the history of rock music. The band that created the greatest rock genre of all, which is heavy metal. That did not put a foot wrong all the way up until probably Technical Ecstasy. Every album's a masterpiece. Have done more great songs than many bands. Are iconic. Are loved. Right? Black Sabbath, why are they? They should be really high up on the list. And this is my point. The list of the greatest artists or bands should be this alternative one, and then we'll have it at the end. We'll have it at the end, and I'll read through it, and you'll see what I'm saying. Right, at number 3, I've got Bruce Springsteen. He is 23. I mean, why is Bruce even better than, say, The Clash? How is Bruce Springsteen better than Johnny Cash? Even in their own thing, how is Bruce Springsteen nearly in the top 20 greatest artists of all time? What has Bruce ever done that's so great? What he seems to have done to me is jump around singing songs that are pseudo working class, when really he's one of those lefties that grew up listening to probably Pete Seeger and thinks he can change the world by singing protest songs, but then went down the alley of just like playing really lame rock. I can't stand Bruce Springsteen. And by the 1980s, with Born in the USA, with all those bloody horrible keyboards and 80s production, you know, it's awful. I don't know why anybody likes him. I just don't get it. I know people like Bruce. I don't Hello. I'm trying to do a video here. Who's this? Hello, Bruce. Yeah. You're at number 3 on the list, yeah. Who are you going to put? Who am I going to put in your place? I'm going to put AC/DC. Yeah, well, it's like what you represent, Bruce. AC/DC really represent. And what you try to do musically, Bruce, AC/DC really do. And I think the poetry of Bon Scott is proper poetry, and it comes from the heart. Whereas yours is pretentious in the extreme, and you are just pulling together a whole bunch of American tropes quite knowingly, right? And it's not a representation of the working class. So there's no brilliant music there. What you know is the history of early pop music that you grew up with, and you have been very good at pulling that together in a certain way over years, Mr. Springsteen. Yes, that's what I think. And as you've got older, your true colours have shown now. As much as I have respect for your live show, which is great, and you play for 3 hours, and you put a lot in, also, as time's gone on, you've started to look like Woody Allen. Yeah, and that's not, I mean, you're a rock star, and it proves you're not a proper rock star. Ozzy Osbourne, I mean, if you go and have a look at the AC/DC guys, they still look like rock stars, sort of. Yeah, I know Angus looks a bit mangy, doesn't he? Yeah, he does look, I know. I know, you've tried to do your best. I mean, how old are you now, Bruce? Bloody hell, that's old. No, I think, I'll say it to your face. Well, I can't see your face, but I'm on the phone to you, right? I'm going to tell you now, Bruce. AC/DC is better than you. AC/DC is better. Do you like AC/DC? Yeah, of course you do. You know why? Because everybody likes AC/DC. And people who don't like AC/DCs, they're gay. I know. Well, I can't help it. I know there's nothing wrong with being gay. I know you wouldn't say that, and I shouldn't say it. It's politically incorrect to call people like that. Things like that, you know. So why am I doing it? Well, if you think about it, Bruce, step back and look at what I'm doing now. I am pretending to talk to Bruce Springsteen on a phone that's not plugged in. And I'm telling him that the fact that he doesn't like AC/DC, oh, you did like AC/DC, then I'm saying to Bruce Springsteen that if you don't like AC/DC, you're gay. Right? Isn't that postmodern and ironic enough for you? Of course I don't hate the gay. No, I don't think. I'm just acting like a yob. Why do I act like a yob? I don't know. I'm not a yob. No. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, that's true, Bruce. I know. I can see what you're saying. That you have a point here. That the fact that me at the age of 57 is sat on a phone doing this type of stuff and tried to justify it by using some sort of postmodern justification for being for proffering a homophobic slur, because you think it would be funny to say homophobic slur to Bruce Springsteen. But it's not funny, is it? No, it's not. No, I do apologise for that, Bruce. You've got me there. I know, but the thing is that they like all this stuff. Yeah. I just did a video on George Duke. Do you like George Duke? Yeah, I thought you did. Because you supported Dave Sanchez, the great Dave Sanchez. Yeah, he was in your band. Amazing keyboard player. Do you like the jazz then? Yeah, of course you do, Bruce. Why don't you play a bit of jazz? Yeah, because you can't, because you're bloody rubbish. Yeah, I know. Anyway, mate, that's been a good chat. I've got through number 3, and I was glad you rang me up. Yeah. But you look after yourself anyway. Yeah, no hard feelings. It's not personal. No. Is there a song I like of yours? No, not one. Even artists I hate, like Van Morrison, there's a couple of songs I like. No, I don't like any of your songs. I don't get it whatsoever. It's just a lot of shouting. You're always shouting too much, Bruce. I don't want to say all this to you. I know what you're going to do. You aren't going to attack me. You're not that type of person, are you? You're too liberal, aren't you? Very liberal man you are, aren't you? Yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad you want to be a nice person. I think you are a nice person. I've always said that every time I criticise you, I said I think I'd get on with Bruce. That's why I thought I'd be honest. I'm being honest here, really. Okay then. Well, what are you doing now? Really? Haven't you got somebody to do that for you? Well, if you've got to do it, yeah, I suppose so. He's got to get everything out the dishwasher, put it up with the things, you know. Have you left it so it's a bit dry? You just put it straight. Oh, you've got one of those that dries it anyway. I thought you might have. Okay, you go and do that, Bruce. Yep. Okay, see you then. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye. That's Bruce Springsteen, everybody. Oh, the quality of my guests has gone up since I got the bloody rock and roll telephone, isn't it? It's really good. Who have I got number 2? They're at 19, inside the top 20 artists of all time, is, of course, bloody Velvet Underground, right? Velvet Underground launched 1,000 bands. You know, people were inspired to pick up a guitar and play by Velvet Underground. No, they weren't. I tell you, it was a band that launched 1,000 musicians, and 1,000 musicians that can actually play, not 1,000 bloody musicians that could strum a few open chords and played that for a bit and then went off and got a job in the bloody banking or something like that a few years later. Not those types of musicians that came up, ended up being session players, jazz players, fusion players, prog players. You know what band inspired us all? I got a bit of chops in the old hands from the drums. You know why? It's not down to the jazz, it's not down to the prog, it's down to one bloody band. I got into heavy metal, working class heavy metal, and there was one band that was included in that, and when I heard them I was like, oh my God, and it set a standard for us all. And it's of course the mighty Rush. Rush should be in the top 10 greatest bands of all time. Right, Rush are a good, honest band. Everybody loves them, and they don't try and hide their intellectuality. They pursue the interests they're interested in. They sing about the subjects they want. If they want to do something tricky, they do it. They don't try and talk down to the audience, and because they're like that, and they're funny, and they got a sense of humour, and because of all that, we love them. Now, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson are getting back together this year, right? They're getting back together with Anika Niles on drums. And the audience is going to welcome Anika in. They're going to go and see it. There won't be all the sort of controversy that normally happens here, because Rush fans are sensible people who are there, and they love Geddy and Alex. They're not going to give Geddy and Alex a hard time. Any Rush fan that's done that, I've seen a few little things here and there. So one bloke going, you're dishonouring the memory of Neil Peart, you know, and I felt like, oh, get lost, you big bloody moany old twat. So now we don't want that. Rush are the best. Now, who's alive in the Velvet Underground? John Cale's alive in the Velvet Underground, right? Mo Tucker, the drummer, I think she's still alive, right? So we've still got her. Did anyone else count? So say Lou Reed's dead, right? So say that's like Neil Peart, that's like a key member. If they went and got rid of Lou Reed and went out now as well, critics go, oh, we can't have this. I mean, you haven't got the Velvet Underground without Lou Reed. You ain't got Rush without Neil Peart. But the music will be there, so you've still got Neil there. Doesn't count with bloody Lou Reed, because he's rubbish. He's a good songwriter. He's actually a good songwriter, hiding up behind. And there was something with that bloke. He hid behind a smoke screen of don't give a shitness. That's what Lou Reed did. Because underneath it all, when he did write a good song, it was just a great pop song. That's what he wrote. You know. He could not, in one of his songs, he could not convey the whole right-wing dichotomy, the idea of the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, but enacting the metaphors of trees in a forest. Did he ever do that, old Lou Reed? No, he just sang around about sitting around having what a great day because he's on heroin. Anyone could do that. I could sit around on bloody, sitting there, going, I've had a great day, being floated away. I've been injected, and then I've been conjected. my bed, and I cuddled my teddy bear. It was very nice. Oh, it's such a perfect day. I wanna spend it with Ted, lying here off my head on my lovely, lovely bed. Come on, I'm not far off. Right, number 1. This band came in at number 12. Right? And I want to get rid of them. I think they should be in the top 20. But there's an artist that should take their place. Now, this band is a good band, right? They're so good, I'm going to personify them now just through the power of my voice. And as soon as I do it, and it is probably their finest moment, you will go, that's amazing. How could you not like this band? Are you ready? It's this band. Round, round, get around, I get around. I get around, I get around, I get around, I get around, down on the phone, down the thing, but go to phone, down the banner, this is bloody brilliant, isn't it? I got the phone, I can take them, and this is what's good. All the acts so far haven't got that. That is good. The bit where he goes, when it just changes and he goes, I got the phone and it got on the same old street. They get the down and they get on and knock at me. And then he goes, boom, down, a different key on I get around, I get around, I want to tell, I get around. It's all brilliant. The Beach Boys are bloody brilliant. They are brilliant. There's a little, they're like the Mozart of pop. After rock and roll dies off in the late 50s, this doo-woppy thing comes in. And the doo-wop is really coming out of a certain sort of vaudeville type approach. And its roots are in black American music. And into that spell comes this sort of barbershop thing, which also has its roots back to minstrelsy. There's a whole thing. And that's what the Beach Boys bring in barbershop into sort of rock and roll. And they tame it. And in that, they personify a certain aspect of this brief period that happens in between rock and roll and rock music. All right? Here in the UK, we have things like the Tornadoes, Joe Meek, and all that type of incredible stuff. All right, and it's almost like jumping on a bandwagon, but it's brilliant jumping on a bandwagon. And that's what the Beach Boys do. But Brian Wilson has got this strange ego about him, where he looks around and he wants to be the greatest. He looks at the Beatles and he wants to be the greatest, right? So he's staring at them and he goes, I want to be like that. And he tries his best to do it. And the critics believe that he did, but he didn't. He just didn't. He was bemused, and he spent the rest of his career trying to shoehorn in his sort of novelty pop approach, which he was a genius at, into rock music, and it never quite fitted. The Beach Boys themselves very quickly just descended into being some sort of cabaret band, making the worst music that's ever made. Right? Brian Wilson went off into sort of the insanity of the cognitive dissonance I've just described. And there I've done a quite accurate assessment of the Beach Boys. It is absolute genius, but it's a brief period of time on which they're geniuses. And because they're that band, and the Beatles sort of come in at the same time. The Beatles come in doing the same sort of thing, but they're a rock and roll band, and they've learnt their craft out in Munich or wherever they were. You know, they've been playing like 8 hours a night, and they rock. And they come back and they're rock. So they are part of this whole rock thing. They are. The Beach Boys aren't. They never were. All right? The best they could have hoped. I'll tell you who does what the Beach Boys could have done is the Bee Gees. It's the same type of thing. So I don't think the Beach Boys are this behemoth of brilliance that means they're at number 12 in the charts of the greatest artists of all time. I think that's the Americans clutching at something because they want their Beatles. They never had it. They want their Rolling Stones. They never had it. You know, they wanted their Led Zeppelin. They never had it. We ruled the world back then. But what people say about Brian Wilson, which he was this sort of genius composer and arranger, and he knew how to use his studio, and he went in and he was like a magician creating all this incredible stuff, right? That wasn't the Beach Boys that did that. It was the guy that does usurp the Beatles. He's the guy that when he comes out, does outdo them, and he's American. And it's Frank Zappa. Frank Zappa should be in the top 10, without a doubt, right? And Frank Zappa has in his DNA that same doo-wop vocal thing going on, but he is a dirty rock and roller because he's been listening to Guitar Slim and Johnny Guitar Watson, and he gets that as well. Plus he's got the jazz thing and he's got the sort of modern classical thing.
It's no nemas near Truke, walks it, a young in the slopes it, starting with the
My phone just ran out of memory. I've managed to clear up a little bit, but I am now going to call it a day on this video. I think we got to the end. That was enough. I might stick some abstract stuff at the end just to fill it up so that it makes sense. But that's what just happened. So thank you for watching. Subscribe. See you on the next one. Blah, 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 blah.